Boys and girls, welcome back to Sports Talk with Austin, your daily dose of sports and entertainment. In today's video, me and Jackson Johnson preview and break down the 2023-2024 Goodyear Cotton Bowl between the Missouri Tigers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Is Missouri truly on an elite level in the college football world? Well, we preview and break down and find out in this video as they take on the Ohio State Buckeyes, who look to rebound after a heartbreaking loss to their rival Michigan that knocked them out of the playoffs.
And speaking of it, we start off with the Goodyear Cotton Bowl is our first New Year's Six game we will preview and break down. You got the Missouri Tigers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Missouri went 10-2, and Ohio State went 11-1, and that's how they got here. Jackson, give me your initial thoughts on seeing this matchup before we break it down even further.
I gotta be honest. I mean, none of us projected that this game was going to happen in the preseason. I mean, Missouri, they've been a tremendous team this year. I mean, they've surprised me. I mean, I figured they would go way better than 6-6 after that victory over Kansas State. I mean, people talk about how great Alabama Auburn was or how great Oklahoma Texas was this season. But I don't ever hear anybody talking about Missouri, Kansas State. I mean, that was a tremendous game winner. A game-winning field goal. You know, what a fantastic finish by Missouri against Kansas State. I mean, you would think you saw George Blanda and Adam Vinatieri reincarnated with that 61-yarder. And then oh man, it was just fantastic. And we see they had a pretty good game against Memphis, but oh boy, they kept it close with LSU earlier this year. I mean, that game was wow. But Kentucky, oh man, they shouldn't have messed with Missouri. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, in South Carolina, they wish they didn't deal with Missouri. But they kept it close with the two-time national champ Georgia Bulldogs, you know, late the week after Georgia played Florida. But then we saw Missouri saying, hey, wait a minute. We may be out of the East Division, but you know we still got a shot at the New Year's Six, right? Well, what do? They basically just get out the belt and spank Tennessee 36-7. It got pretty ugly real quick for the Vols. And then Missouri gets lucky against Florida a week later. But then they smack around Arkansas, thus clinching a shot at a New Year's Six bowl bid. And now we got this wonderful game between the Missouri Tigers and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game. And as you got that schedule pulled up, Jackson, I think for a lot of people, that Georgia game, even though they lost, opened up a lot of people's eyes like, hey, maybe Missouri's been a team of, their schedule's been kind of soft other than Kansas State. They really haven't had to play anybody of significance. Georgia's going to be our first look at how actual good they are. And Jackson, if Brady Cook doesn't turn the ball over late, Missouri could pull off an upset, and Missouri could be potentially in the SEC could have been in the SEC championship game. But as they say, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But Missouri had a great year. They went 10-2, and they're in a bowl, a New Year's Six bowl, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. Eli Drinkwitz, who had all the hot seat talk at the beginning of the year, I think cooled his seat big time.
Oh,
big
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Now, I will say, though, I have to be honest with you. Me and Jackson, we both did SEC previews at the beginning of the year on my channel, and we predicted Missouri to go 3-9. And that's one that we look back on and say, if we could do that one over, that would be nice. But
I
it's our
I taught this man into predicting 3-9. So if anybody wants to comment anybody about the bad Missouri prediction, come at me. Don't come at Austin.
It's all good, Jackson. It's a part of the predictions. And I didn't believe in Missouri, but they have the talent, they have the weapons, and I think they could keep it close with Ohio State. But you look at this from the Ohio State perspective, Jackson. They went 11-1, and for a lot of Buckeyes fans, this was a disappointment. They're
True.
like, "Oh, this is a disappointment. We should be playing for the Natty in the playoffs, but you couldn't get it done against Michigan again." And a lot of Buckeyes fans want to blame Kyle McCord for it. They're like, it's his fault that we didn't win the Big Ten and we're not in the playoffs. Listen, Ohio State fans, Kyle McCord, he had a defender right in his face when he threw that. Most quarterbacks would throw a pick right there. Most. Kyle McCord's not Tom Brady. So let's take a chill pill now. And it's one of those things. It's like it's like the Notre Dame game, Jackson, for Ohio State. One of their better wins. A lot of people were like, what did that win do for us in essence? Because it didn't help us with the committee or anything, other than it just showed that we're still better than Notre Dame. Well, you look at it, Jackson. What if they would have lost that Notre Dame game? Would they have still made a New Year's Six bowl? Because look at their schedule; it's
Mhm.
putrid. Other than Penn
Oh, it's
State,
good.
other than Penn State, Jackson? Besides Notre Dame, what's their best win?
That's a good question right there. Besides Notre Dame and Penn State, I'm gonna have to say, hmm, I guess
Maryland?
Maryland, Wisconsin, Western Kentucky. Well, I mean that Western Kentucky looks good. Win looks good, especially after that famous Toastery Bowl comeback victory against Old Dominion.
Yes. And for you, those of you who are hearing Jackson talk about this, we are recording on a Monday night. So that's why you hear that now
True.
when we release this. But yeah, you look at it, Jackson, the totality of it. If they didn't get the Notre Dame and Penn State win, who knows what Ohio State, where they would be at. Jackson, there'd be a potential they would not be in a New Year's Six bowl, possibly. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Don't want to go too crazy because
Uh, I
they
think
are
they
Ohio
still
State.
would. I think they still would be in a New Year's Six bowl because of their blue blood status. But if they weren't known as Ohio State football or anybody else that's not a blue blood, they'd have been yeeted off the New Year's Six. They'd be thrown out like Jazz from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
And true. And Jackson, one of the biggest storylines that is going to be interesting for this game is Kyle McCord has transferred to Syracuse, which all hope and luck to him. Good luck in the ACC. We'll be seeing you down the road, Mr. McCord. Get ready. You're going to get to see a heavy dose of Jeff Brom, but that's neither here nor there. But Jackson, how do you think that impacts Ohio State's chances? Especially if Marvin Harrison Jr. opts out. You'll be down your starting wide receiver and your quarterback. What's your take on
Well, I
that?
mean, I think they're going to be fine on the quarterback play because we're going to wait and see with Devin Brown. I got a feeling he's going to be a little better than McCord, but I guess we'll wait and see on that. But you're going to have Emeka Egbuka at receiver, although we don't know whether he's opting out yet, but we'll know for sure. But it's like this man Austin said, this is recorded on a Monday, so if you see it 2 days later and 3 days later, and you're like, wait a minute, why did you report on that? Well, this is pre-recorded. That's why. Fourth wall break.
Yeah, giving away our magic tricks here. We're recording on a Monday night, so
We're breaking the
but
fourth wall, ladies and gentlemen. We are breaking the fourth wall.
yeah. but But I will say though, Jackson, Julian Fleming, him going to the transfer portal, that's a big loss for Ohio State too. He's a really good slot receiver. I think his presence is going to be missed. But if Marvin Harrison plays, I think it can make up for a lot of things for Ohio State. But the big question is if he plays or not. Because if he doesn't play, this opens up the whole the whole book of worms. And I have to say, Missouri, I don't believe they had anybody opt out yet, have they, Jackson? As we are recording
Yeah, I was
tonight.
gonna say, nobody at Missouri is gonna opt out of playing against Ohio State. You are not gonna see anybody opting out of playing against a blue blood. That's just not gonna happen. You're just not.
And I will say Jackson, with that being said, my biggest thing for this before we get into our winners here, Jackson, I would like to know, in your opinion, what would it take for Missouri to win this game? In your opinion, what's their key to victory?
Oh man, they'll have to make sure they got it going on offense. That's for sure. They're gonna have to put a stop to the passing game from Ohio State. They're gonna have to put a stop to Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. if those guys are playing. But if those guys are not playing, well, you just gotta make sure you take control of that receiving core. You do that, you are good to go.
And I think one key thing for Missouri before we get into our pick here, I think one key thing for Ohio State, excuse me, one key thing is they need to establish an early ground game to help the young quarterback Devin Brown out if he is the one getting the nod in this game. Travion Henderson, I believe he is still playing in this game. I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's going to be a big help. He's a 1,000-yard running back. He has potential to break things loose in a hurry, almost like a Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker type back. If Ohio State gets the running game going, get some easy completions for Brown, they can win this game, and their defense just has to slow down that Missouri offense.
True.
But with 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 all that being said, though, Jackson, I'll let you pick this game first. Who do you got, and what's your prediction? Who's taking the Cotton Bowl home?
Well, I will say though, another stat that I noticed that Missouri has is that they lead the nation in red zone offense. So they can capitalize on the red zone against the Ohio State red zone defense. They will be good to go. That will help them against Ohio State. But I do well, I do concede to the fact that I don't think Missouri's going to win. It's going to be a bad day for them. And I say this will be Ohio State 35-24.
Yeah. Jackson, I agree with you on this game. I'm going Ohio State 31-24. 31-24, Ohio State wins. Whether Marvin Harrison plays or not, I still think they have too much firepower for Missouri right now. I'm taking the Buckeyes. But
And for more great content here at Sports Talk with Austin, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so you never miss another video on anything college football, college basketball, and the NBA. Hey, here at Sports Talk with Austin, it's Cardinals for life, baby. I'm out. Stay in.